I am the conservative voice of Black America. Welcome to the Revolution. Today we have lots to talk about and discuss. I just don't know if I'm going to get it all in this blog. But don't worry. I plan to publish a new blog, video blog every week, and we will get to the bottom of how to solve our problems. So I want to talk about the unrest that's taking place in Baltimore and places like Ferguson and Houston and Chicago. I'm not sure how the homicide department in Chicago even get anything done. There are so many murders there on a daily basis, double digits on weekends. It's outrageous. They can't possibly keep up with the caseload. I'm thinking that the chalk that they use to outline the body, they can't order that stuff by the case. They have to order by the truckloads. They have so many cases. Some may think I'm being funny, but there's a little truth in every joke. The murder rate is outrageous. I mean, what's happening in the Black community, and the murder rate is outrageous. What's happening in the Black community is a shame. It's appalling. And we should be doing more to speak up and speak out against what is going on. We say we want economic opportunity in our communities, but when things erupt, we're burning the businesses that are in these communities that are providing jobs. We can't do that, people. We can't continue to do the things that we've done. We can't continue to be second and third class citizens in America. We can't continue to be on our knees begging people for freedom, hoping that someday we're going to be free. Someday we're going to overcome. If we're still saying we shall overcome in 2015, then something is seriously wrong. We have poor leadership. We have poor leadership in our churches. We have poor leadership in our communities. Our business leaders, our civic leaders, the politicians, all sellouts. You don't believe me? Look around. Where is the progress? We've had the same party, the Democratic Party, running our communities for years now, running the inner cities. Black mayors, Black city council, Black school board. Our schools are terrible. There was a time when Black schools were actually pretty good in America, not just a few here and there, but for the most part across the nation. They were tough. They had zero tolerance policies. They expected and demanded the kids to work hard, to study hard, because the belief was that you're going to be 2 to 3 times better than your white counterpart to get half the results or the benefits of your white counterpart. So we had to work hard. That was instilled in us, to work hard, to be better. Now we have a surrender, defeat attitude. We don't believe our kids are just as smart as the Asian kids or the white kids. We don't. We don't push our kids. We expect mediocre results. We send our kids to schools that don't properly educate them. And we wonder why the dropout rate is so high in the Black community. That's why. These kids know they're not getting a good quality education. They know. So many of them don't stick around and stick with the program. And the ones that do stick with the program, they're graduating on average 3 grade levels behind everyone else. How do you go to school for 12 years, walk up on that stage, get your diploma, and you're supposed to be, at that point, you're supposed to be prepared for college. You're supposed to have a quality education behind you at the point that that paper certifies that you've got a quality education. Only to find out that you're 3 grade levels behind. There's something seriously wrong that we allow this to happen to our kids. And we allow this to happen because we somehow continue to support a party that does not support us, never has, never will. I don't care what they say, they talk a good game. The Black Democrat, the white Democrat, the white liberal, the Black progressive, the white progressive. I mean, they just keep changing their names. They're moderates, they're centrists. I mean, they're all over the place. The reality is they're all Democrats. And we've been supporting them for about 70 to 80 years. And that has to stop. They have destroyed our communities. They have destroyed our schools. They think changing the sentencing guidelines for drug dealers is a good thing for us. It is not. It is not. My father was a drug dealer. I have no sympathy whatsoever for drug dealers. I don't. I don't care how many years you give them for selling crack. I don't care how unfair the sentencing is for selling crack versus selling ecstasy or crystal meth. I don't care. If you want to give a drug dealer life for an ounce, more power to you. Don't sell it for something. I mean, that would be my advice. If you're a drug dealer and you're not smart enough to figure out that crack is a federal mandatory, sometimes 5 years with no parole, versus selling some other drug, if you're still dumb enough to go sell crack, then whatever the guidelines are that the judge has to impose on you is what you get for being dumb and stupid. It's just the way life is, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Be smart if you're going to be a drug dealer. The other thing is we have to address our educational system. The only way our kids are going to catch up is that we have to work and bust our butt. Our kids need to be working very hard to get a good quality education. Quality education. We cannot continue to let the Democratic Party align itself with the teachers union and keep bad teachers in the classrooms teaching our kids. I remember during the 70s, the cry was that black kids are not responding because the teachers were white. That we needed more black teachers in the classroom. We needed more black principals and vice principals and counselors. That was the solution. If we could just get some blackness in the schools. We have plenty of blackness in the schools now. We have blackness all over the place. School board, superintendent, you name it, we have it. I mean, at every level of government, we have some blackness. And what has it gotten us? Schools are terrible. Kids are graduating with inferior education, and now they have to go into the world and compete against kids who are smarter than them. And we accept this. We just accept it as the norm. Well, I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be the norm. It's time for us to get off our knees. It's time for us to stand like free men. Langston Hughes has this poem called The Negro Mother. I'm just going to borrow a passage from it. Lift high my banner out of the dust and stand like free men supporting my trust. Believe in the right and let none push you back. Remember the whip that the slavers tried. All my dark children in the world out there, remember my pain, my sweat, my despair. Remember my years heavy with sorrow. Make of those years a torch for tomorrow. Make of my past a road to the light out of the darkness and ignorance of the night. For I will be with you to no white brother. Dare keep down the children of the Negro. If our ancestors who are looking down on our situation today, it has to bring tears to their eyes. This is sad that we've allowed ourselves to degress in America, a country that we helped make great. Other people are coming here and reaping the benefits, and we're the last ones to get a payday. Now, I know the government gives us a few little handouts here and there. And that's enough to pacify a lot of black people. They figure a little change here and there in our pocket is worth selling our people out for, but it's not. It's not. So I'm asking black people to wake up. It's time to do things differently. You know, the saying is that if you continue to do what you've always done, and then you know the rest, you'll continue to have what you have right now. And what we have right now is a pretty bad situation, but we have the power to fix it. We have the power to fix it because we can demand Republicans and Democrats, liberal and conservative, come to the table and address our issues. The two issues that we need to address in the black community is jobs and education. We need economic development in the black community. We need our schools to be fixed. Our kids need to get a good quality education. And we cannot compromise on that. We cannot allow the teachers union to keep bad teachers in our schools on the sake of supporting a party. That day is gone. That ship is sailed. We're not doing that anymore. We are going to wake up as a people. It's time for us to have a social revolution. It is. We have to do things differently. We have to do things smarter. I also want to address the economic disparity in America. You know, our black leadership, all misguided. In fact, I have a few that I call the idiot savants. I mean, smart people, brilliant. Don't let the idiot part fool you. I call them idiot savants because they are smart, they're brilliant. But they're idiots because they somehow believe the hype. They believe that because they worked hard and achieved something, their PhDs and their master's degrees, and became successful, that the rest of us can. That other black students can't do what they've done. Oh, you know, Jimmy, the system is, there's systematic racism, systemic racism. Where is this systemic racism? Where does it exist? What systems? Is it in the educational system? Well, Democrats run the educational system last time I checked. Is it in government? Oh, well, you know, liberals dominate the government at pretty much all levels. So where is this systemic racism? I mean, where does it exist? Let's put a light on it. Why don't we do that? You know, I get the Eric Dysons at George Washington University, idiot savant. Smart man, brilliant. You know, but he believes, he's one of the main ones talking about systemic racism that exists in America. Where does it exist? You teach at the most expensive university in the world, George Washington University. Is there racism there at George Washington University? And if there is, what are you doing about it? How about Cornell West? You teach in one of the most prestigious schools in America also. Is there systemic racism there? How about you, Dr. Lamont Hill? I'm not going to leave you out. PhD in anthropology. Yeah, I don't want to hear that somehow black kids can't be the only black in school, in the classroom. I'm sure that many of the classes you guys took, and certainly I can't leave out my favorite idiot savant down there at Tulane University. I mean, she goes, it goes without saying. I even hate to mention, I mean, in fact, I can't even remember her name half the time. Melissa Perry, Tyler Perry, something. She's the biggest idiot savant so far because she really believes the nonsense that she spews out there. I don't know if someone writes this stuff for her or she just comes up with it off the top of her head. But it would serve black people well to stop listening to the idiot savants tell you about the world, to tell you about racism, how you can't make it. We have to have programs to help kids out and get kids. No, we don't. None of that nonsense. Here's what we need. We need to understand what the standards are. If you have to have a certain LSAT score and a grade point average to get into law school, then that's just what it takes. We're not going to allow them to lower the bar for us anymore. We want the bar raised. We want it raised because when we cross it, and we want people to know how hard we work to cross that bar. Don't lower the bar for us and make it easy. If you have to have certain MCATs and certain grade point averages to get into med school, that's just what it takes for the school you're trying to get into. Don't lower the bar, no exception. We don't want to carve out. We don't want to set aside. We don't want your affirmative action. We don't. In fact, I take that back to some degree. I do believe in affirmative action, but not in the same way that the idiot savants do. They think all black people just need it. It's just a blanket. I don't think that. I think kids from poor areas, I mean, there are black kids who live in the city that I live in, the city of Plano, who has a really good educational system. And I think the average black kid with average grades from Plano ISD has a better education than whoever is valedictorian from some of the inner city schools out in Dallas. I do believe that. And so if you want some type of program to help those, base it on economics, base it on your financial situation. Don't base it on color. Poor people, children of poor parents need a hand, need a little hand, need a little help from time to time. I don't mind, making a special case for poor people and kids of poor people. Give them a break. Give them a chance for upward mobility to come to your schools and get a good education. If they have the grades, if they're willing to work hard. That's affirmative action I can get behind. Putting a blanket statement over all black people or Hispanics and think that we're all disabled, we're all, experience racism and being held back by the system, systematic racism, except nobody can identify these systems. When if you don't believe me, ask one of the other savants if you ever get a chance to speak to one. What systems are racist? You're always talking about systemic racism. Well, what systems are racist? What institutions are racist? I assume that, for you guys who went to Harvard and Princeton and Yale and George Washington University, who get a chance to work at Tulane University and some of these other prestigious schools, that when you talk about institutional racism, you must be talking about the places you work or went to school, because these are places you experienced firsthand. So is that where the racism exists? In your schools? The schools that you attended? Or the schools that you not currently work or employ? Is that where the racism exists? And if so, what are you doing about it? I don't want to hear about this blanket indictment over the entire system. I want to hear about your experience at your place of employment, or your place of education, where you learn and experience all this racism. So this is an election year coming up. Next year, we're right in the middle of another presidential election. And you're going to hear a lot of talk about the KKK and the Republican Party. There's no connection between the KKK and the Republican Party. There is a connection between the Democratic Party and the KKK. They funded and founded the KKK. They did. The KKK was their military wing to suppress the black vote. And it's funny that I hear Democrats always talking about, well, Republicans want to suppress the black vote. Because we're in favor of people having to show an ID card to vote, one of the most fundamental, important things that you can do as a citizen, which is vote. We have people that are here illegally, with illegal IDs, that are voting in our elections, who do not have a right to vote. If you're not a citizen, you don't have a right to vote. But somehow the liberals don't care about legalities and legal. That's just, they say silly things like, there's only about 1.5% of the votes are illegal. Wait a minute. 100 million people vote in elections, and you're talking about 1.5% of illegal. That's 1.5 million votes nationwide. And you think that when we have elections where people are losing by a few hundred, Bush won by 500 votes in Florida. The senator in Minnesota, Al Franken, when he first ran, I think he won by 300 or 400 votes. And then after the election was certified and he was sworn in, they actually inspected the ballots and found out that in a few random counties, they didn't check all the ballots, they just took a few here and there. They found 1,100 ballots that were illegal because these people had criminal backgrounds. They shouldn't have been allowed to vote. And of the 1,100 plus, I think about 7 of them went to the Republican candidate. Over 1,100 went to Al Franken. If he doesn't get those 1,100 illegal votes, he doesn't win. So, so you say that when progressives and the moderates and centrists and Democrats, liberals, they say silly things like, Jim, it's just a few illegal votes here and there. It's not even worth keeping up with. Well, it's not worth it to you because most of the illegal votes go your favor. But if those illegal votes were being counted for Republicans, it would be a different ballpark. It'd be a different ball game. We would be in a different ballpark. It would be a different game than the one we're in now. So I'm going to close the next video blog. We're going to talk economics. We're going to get down to some hardcore solutions to improve the economics of our neighborhoods and our communities. We have to do better. We have to be responsible and create jobs for our people. We can't continue to look for white people to do this. It's not their responsibility. We can't continue to blame others for the things that we are not doing. $1.1 trillion in spending power in 2015. There's enough money there to free the black community. There's enough money there to free black folks from the condition that we are finding, where we're putting ourselves in. We have to end the black boycott. We have participated in the most successful economic boycott in the history of the world. Black people not supporting black people. That has to stop. So thank you for listening to my video blog. This has been the conservative voice of Black America. So please join the revolution. Thank you.